Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on this wonderful Monday afternoon, evening, morning, whichever city, whichever country that you're logging in from. We have a very, very exciting session in store for you today. I can see a lot of the audience has started trickling in. So very quickly in the chat window, to all those of you who are logging in, if you can let me know which city are you dialing in from. This would also serve as an audio and video test on my behalf to know if you can hear us and see us all clearly. So very quickly in the chat window, if everyone can just let us know which city they are dialing in from. So we have Pratham from Patna, Bihar. Hi, Pratham. Vishnu from Delhi. All of you keep the comments going. We have Emmanuel from Abuja, Nigeria. We have Sucheta from Dubai. We have people from Bangalore, Mumbai. Wow, brilliant. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone who's joined in today. We have an excellent master class coming up for you. I'm going to wait a little bit more for a few more people to join in before I quickly do a panel introduction, run some polls, and we have a very, very interesting topic. We have students from India, Abhisha and Rajesh, who are currently in the US of A doing their MSBA, and they are going to be talking about their experience there, which should give you a lot of insight if you are also looking to pursue a master's or an MBA program from the US. So thank you all of you for joining us today. Before I get started, I see more than 100 students who are in the room already. I am going to quickly take this opportunity and run our first poll question for the evening, which is going to be popping up on your screen very, very shortly. So yes, if all of you can just look at your screen, the first poll question is, are you considering pursuing an MSBA program in the near future? I want to know, audience, let me know. Yes, I'm actively researching and planning. Are those of you who are still exploring your options, or the lot of you who have joined this masterclass today to know more, which would help you in making this informed decision or choice? So the poll question is up on the screen. I would request everyone in the audience to quickly go and cast your votes and let us know which stage of planning are you in your process right now. If you are considering doing an MSBA program in the near future, if you can let us know through the poll questions. I am going to keep the poll running for a few more seconds before I end it. So if everyone can go ahead and cast their votes. I see quite a few of you who have started voting already. I'm going to keep it going for a few more seconds. All those of you who haven't voted yet, please go and cast your poll vote so that we know which stage of your application journey, what stage of your study abroad phase are you in. All right, so I am now going to end the poll question. And I'm going to share the results with everyone. So yes, 44% are still exploring options, which is a good thing to know about a lot of other programs before you make an informed choice. 30% are very, very keen on pursuing an MSBA program, and 27% have joined to know more, which would help them make an active choice or an active decision. So thank you so much, everyone, for casting your votes and letting us know. So as I mentioned, we have a very, very interesting masterclass today, which is brought to you by the University of Minnesota, Carlson School of Management. And the topic is an inside look with the current students, Abhisha and Rajesh, from the Carlson School of Management, who are currently pursuing their Masters of Science in Business Analytics. So before I go very further, a quick round of introductions for everyone. I'll start with myself. My name is Sabahat Herzog. I represent Seed Global Education. We're a UK headquartered company which facilitates interactions between top global universities like the one that we have with us today and prospective students like yourself, giving you a chance to connect with the faculty, connect with the students, connect with the admission representatives, get an understanding, get a taste of the programs which are being offered by these universities, what are their offerings to help you make informed choices in your career. I have with me Susan. Hi, Susan.
Hi, how are you? Thank you all for having us today. We're excited to be able to tell you a little bit about what makes our MS and Business Analytics program unique, share some wonderful outcomes for our students. Then, of course, the main event is, you getting to hear really what the student experience is all about. So I am the Director of Admissions and Recruiting. Again, welcome. It's so exciting to see folks joining from all over the world. And yeah, we look forward to the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Susan, for joining us. We also have with us Garth from the Carlson School of Management. He's the Associate Director of Recruiting. And he's going to be giving us wonderful insights into what the program has to offer, what the university has to offer. Two special guests with us on the panel today. We have Rajesh, who is a current student enrolled in the Masters in Business Analytics program at the Carlson School of Management. Rajesh has completed his undergrad degree from BITS Mesra, Birla Institute of Technology. Any BITS students in the audience, please feel free to drop that in the chat comment and let us know if you've also joined in from BITS, which is Rajesh's ex-school. We also have with us Abhisha, who is currently pursuing an MS in Business Analytics at the Carlson School of Management. She has done her undergraduate degree in mathematics from Miranda House and an MBA in MICA in management, marketing, and communication. So that was a very quick round of introductions from my end. We are going to get started shortly. So for all those in the audience, please feel free to post your questions in the Q&A box. The others feel free to upload those relevant questions. Please stay till the end of the event. We are going to be taking all of the questions towards the end. With that, I now hand over to Garth to please start with his presentation. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sabahat, and thank you all for having us here today to learn a bit about our Master of Science in Business Analytics. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. We can get this presentation started. Okay. All right, so as mentioned, my name is Garth Herbert. I'm an Associate Director of Recruiting here at the Carlson School of Management for our graduate programs. And I'm just going to be talking to you all a bit about our business analytics program that we have here. Again, as Sabahat said, please, as I'm going through this presentation, please feel free to post any questions you have in the Q&A section, and we'll be sure to cover those when we get to the general panel as well. So our business analytics program is a one-year comprehensive intensive program that really focuses on teaching students the technical aspects of data and data analytics, along with how to apply those in a business setting. So it's a really great combination of both business concepts and technical STEM concepts as well, with a real focus on experiential hands-on learning throughout your experience. This program starts in the fall. So this program will be starting fall of 2024 and ending the following August. So it's a single year program. So you're getting a lot out of that single year, and it's really helping to set our students up for success after they graduate. This program is typically aimed at earlier career professionals or recent graduates. That's not to say that we have folks that are later on in their career as well. That's just where we find that this program tends to have the most impact, but we really have students from all across the board, different academic backgrounds, different countries, just a really diverse class that we really think adds to the overall experience as well. As you can see, this is a full-time in-person program. It is a STEM designated program, given that designation by the Department of Homeland Security. It's a 45 credit total program. And you can also see there at the bottom of the screen, our average starting salary along with our average sign-on bonus for our students as well. And this is really a testament to a couple different factors. First off, students in this field are highly sought after. Data is becoming an extremely important aspect of every single business out there, along with like finance and marketing and supply chain. Data analytics is really a core component of that these days. So it's that, then also to our Carlson Business Career Center, which is our comprehensive one-stop shop for everything and anything careers, from preparing a resume to getting connections with alumni to just even finding what kind of opportunities are out there for our graduates. So a lot of factors there, but you can see that our program really does produce results. Over on the left, you can see our class profile. Again, you can just get these are averages, so it gives you a general idea of where our students tend to be at in their careers and in terms of their academic background. But these are averages, so we admit students that are above these numbers and below these numbers all the time. The last point I'll make on this slide here is that we do offer merit-based scholarships for this program. Every single student that's admitted into this program is automatically considered for all scholarships that they're eligible for, and it's a holistic review. So we look at the entire student. Every single component of their application is considered simultaneously, and when they're admitted into our program, they'll also receive their scholarship offer at the same time. Historically, we've given scholarship offers up to $20,000 for this program. And then a few more of the logistical components here. Again, this is just a brief overview of the program. We really want to get to hearing about that student experience. And if you have follow-up questions after today's session, more than happy to connect. If you do want to connect, you can always feel free to reach out to msba@umn.edu. But on just a few of the logistical points here, you can see the deadlines over on the left side of the screen. And as you can see, we have our November 1st deadline happening this week. So if you've started an application and you feel like you have most of it together, please feel free to apply by that November 1st deadline. Otherwise, our second round deadline is coming up on January 15th. I would say January 15th is our most popular deadline, but if you're able to apply by that first deadline, definitely encourage you to do so. Over on the right, you can see a few logistical components for the application itself. So we do have two very important prerequisites for this program. The first being calculus. We do require that students have a pretty strong technical background before entering this program, just because of the academic intensity. So we do ask that students have calculus. This can either be achieved through an undergraduate class that you took, or a Coursera course, for instance. And we also have a programming proficiency requirement as well. And you can see the specific languages that are up on the screen there that we ask students to have. And on this note, again, you can either achieve this prerequisite through an undergraduate course you took, or through, again, we have Coursera courses that we recommend. All of these Coursera courses are listed on our website, so I'd encourage you to check those out if you're going to go that route. The GMAT and GRE, we are test optional if you meet a certain GPA threshold for the MSBA program. So if your undergraduate cumulative GPA is equivalent to at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale, which is a B equivalent for those of you that aren't on a 4.0 scale, you do not need to submit a GMAT or GRE score. If you do not meet that GPA threshold, you would be required to submit a GMAT or GRE. And so these are just a few additional details about those prerequisites I mentioned. It's all written out there. And I know that this is kind of a lot, so feel free to reach out and follow up with us about these prerequisites if you have specific questions. A few other tips for the prerequisites themselves. If you don't have any kind of programming background, don't have any kind of programming experience, and you want to go the Coursera route, take a Coursera course to fulfill that prerequisite, we do recommend that you choose Python. If you don't have any programming experience whatsoever, and you have to choose one of the languages that we ask a student to have, then Python is the one we recommend, just because Python's not necessarily taught at the beginner level in the program. And so we want to be sure that you're really able to catch up and be up to speed by the time you start the program. And again, check out our website. We have those lists of recommended courses that our professors have gone through and selected, pre-selected for students to take to fulfill these prerequisites. And then one more time, I'll just show you all how the review process itself works, because oftentimes I think this is one of the most common questions I get, and I think it's an important question to talk about. How do we do our review process? Again, we do a holistic review process, which means we consider every single component of the application at the same time. No one factor, figure, or number in an application is going to determine an admissions outcome or a scholarship outcome. We do holistic review for both admissions and for scholarships. You can also see the components that we consider for an MSBA application up on the screen here, whether it's the test scores, your transcripts. We also ask for a resume and letters of recommendation. Additionally, we ask for a video essay, which is basically you'll see a question pop up on the screen for 2 minutes. It'll be a basic behavioral interview question, and then you'll have 2 minutes to answer that question. It'll be something like, talk about a time you had a disagreement on a project and how you resolved that disagreement. Very basic, and then you'll have 2 minutes to answer that question. It is a single take, but what's important to us is that through this, you show your communication skills and your critical thinking skills. We're not going to be parsing it too closely for technical aspects or anything like that. It's really important just how you communicate. Also, we have a personal statement, which is very straightforward. You're just going to be asking or answering some basic questions that we have for you, and just encourage you to keep to the page and word limit on those questions. And then we also have an interview process. And I know a lot of students see interview and they start to sweat. It's okay for our interview. It's very while we do ask that students take the process seriously, at the same time, this isn't going to be a technical interview. We want to get to know you better outside of the context of your written application, and ask about your background, what your career goals are, and why did you select the Carlson School of Management for your program of choice. So that was just the briefest overview. Again, I'm switching back to this slide here just so you all can see the deadlines again. Again, we have this November 1st deadline that's coming up here very shortly, but then our next deadline is January 15th. So if you want to start an application now, plenty of time to apply by that January 15th deadline. And I would just encourage any international students here with us today to note what our deadlines are for our international students. So March 15th for students that are applying from outside the US. And then if you're residing inside the US currently, May 15th is the final deadline for those students. And again, if you have any questions for us, please feel free to send an email to msba@umn.edu, and we'd be happy to stay connected and continue the conversation. But that's our overview. Susan, did I miss anything or anything else you would like to add? Okay.
I think you covered all of it, Garth. Thanks so much.
Perfect. All right, I'll go ahead and pass it back to Sabahat.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Garth. We have quite a few questions which have come in after that very insightful presentation. But I'm going to request everyone to please wait till the end. We have a very, very interesting panel. Garth, you can stop sharing your screen. We will be happy to share this information. If I could now request Abhisha and Rajesh to come online so that we could get started. Rajesh, can you hear us?
Yep.
All right, great. So thank you so much. We would now like to understand a little bit more about the student's journey. I'm also going to be asking a few questions to Garth or Susan, whichever one of you feel you want to go ahead with the answer first, feel free. But I would like to ideally start with the students. So my first question for you is Rajesh. So Rajesh, can you share a little bit about your personal experience with the MSBA Business Analytics program at the Carlson School? Like, what has been your experience so far with this particular program?
Sure. Thank you, Sabahat. Hi, everyone. My experience so far has been really amazing. To be specific, the summer semester defined the foundation of my course, of my skill set, and how it's going to help me in my career journey. Now, even before coming to the program, I was aware of the technicality of the curriculum and how it's going to shape my interest in data science and data analytics. Apart from that, I would also emphasize that uh, the community has helped grow in different ways. It's a 360-degree all-round development in terms of communication, in terms of thought process, and how we tackle business problems. The professors have been really welcoming and have always made it sure that the classrooms are engaging and you're just not listening to a lecture on a slide, but rather trying to solve problems and trying to understand, oh, if you're learning this particular term, this particular process, how that can be put it in a business context, can be used in an industrial context, so that when you are giving interviews, it's just not that you are defining a term, but rather you are also giving it in a way that the interviewer or your supposedly manager will also have a better understanding. So that has been really great. Now we're just entering winter and our fall semester is I think 50% over. So yeah.
Great, great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajesh. On similar lines, Rajesh spoke a lot about how it has been helpful for him in terms of understanding data. Community has been very welcoming. He's being adapted with some problem solving skills. The faculty are amazing. So, Abhisha, what has been the most rewarding aspect for you from this particular program? What do you think is, apart from obviously the winter months and you looking forward to Christmas, what is another takeaway which has been the most rewarding aspect of this program for you?
Thanks, Abhat. First off, it's an amazing opportunity to interact with so many students and share the experience that might help them shape up a decision someday. If you'd ask me about what has been my journey and a rewarding part of it, honestly, it's difficult to just pick one for the really amazing, I think, 5 months that I have been here. I come from a very different background. I don't have as much of a technical background as most of my batchmates would. I was in the industry, in the business role, with a brand manager role for the past 5 years, which means that the technical front was something totally new for me. It was scary at first, but the most rewarding part is, I think after 5 months, I know the immense faith I have in the curriculum, the immense faith I have in the professors, the immense faith I have in the community, that you will be able to learn a lot of industry relevant things. And it is not just, the execution part of it, it's the thinking part of it, which I think stands way, way apart than any of the other courses. Since I was in the business facing role, I would always see a difference between how a technical person will communicate versus how a business person will communicate to address a business situation or a business problem. This course is at the perfect intersection. It gives you the foundation, it gives you the reasons of saying certain insights or giving certain recommendations, but at the same time, giving you the communication skills to ace it out there. So I think it has been an incredible journey. The first semester was full on basics, kind of few preps before the first semester did help me. And the second semester is way more intense, but at the same time, the kind of new things we are learning day in, day out, especially kudos goes to the professor in terms of the course curation. For somebody who had almost zero technical background, but did something before coming, like a course or a course, I think I have seen myself grow, and that is the maximum you can expect out of such a course. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Abhisha. I have noticed quite a few questions which had come in, which did speak about or were referring to the non-technical aspects of, someone who's from a non-technical background. I am sure everyone in the audience who's tuned in, who's here, we just have heard Abhisha speak. She does not belong to a technical background. So I'm sure that does solve a lot of questions which are there in people's minds. So on the same lines, I know Garth has taken us through a wonderful presentation about the MSBA programs, the offerings, etc. But Susan, here's a quick question for you. What, according to you, really sets Carlson's MSBA program apart from the others? Let's talk in terms of the unique features or opportunities that international applicants should consider specifically when they are looking to choose this particular program.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the things that really sets our program apart is that throughout each semester of the program, students are engaged in some type of experiential learning, and that is through the Carlson Analytics Lab. So we have a dedicated department that specifically focuses on experiential learning just for the analytics program. So we're very well resourced in that area. And so experiential learning will take place across a few different domains. So there are live case competitions. Over the course of 4 weeks, students work with a team and they solve a real business question using data. And so that happens, that's something that our students get exposure to, working on that hands-on data right away. Students also have, in their last semester, kind of a fuller stack analytics capstone type project as well. So these live case competitions and that experiential hands-on piece kind of build, you're getting that throughout the program and then kind of culminates in this larger project as well at the end. So I think that it's really thoughtful the way that experiential piece, kind of taking the knowledge that you're gaining in the classroom that, Rajesh and Abhisha, mentioned, and just learning how do you apply this in a real world setting, or, how do you take some real data and actually make meaning from it, and get really good clients and real world business application. And I think the other thing that is unique about our program too, is just because of our geography and where we're based, we have so many companies across different industries that are based in the Twin Cities. And so for our students, that means, a lot of those companies interact with the Carlson School. Some of them may be companies that are bringing live cases or data or projects for students to work on, because we have great relationships with those companies. And again, it's across healthcare, across retail, across nonprofit. So students are getting exposure to not only, the experiential learning and the application of data, but also different industries along the way.
Great, Susan. That sounds very exciting for all of us. Thank you so much. So again, my next question Abhisha, is for you. What made you decide to pursue an MSBA at the Carlson School of Management? You had done your undergrad in mathematics from Miranda House, then you even went on to do an MBA from MICA. That's when you then decided to join. So what was the factor? What made you decide to sort of pursue this program from Carlson?
Well, I think the past 5 years in marketing, and I absolutely love marketing. There is no two ways about it. I realized businesses are changing very, very rapidly. And whatever value I gave as a brand manager to my company, interestingly, most of it came from data. And which is where I thought I had the scope to learn more and to become somebody who has insights, recommendations, and things that help businesses shift, their structure from a certain position to a more elevated one. I feel data is the key. I know the statement must have been said out and about for the past decade or even more so, but it doesn't mean that it is not any less relevant right now, which is why as a marketing person, I felt it is the need of an hour for anybody to dip their hands into data and to give out things that can actually help businesses thrive. I think that is where my ambition of going out and going for the MSBA started. Well, Carlson School of Management happened. I mean, I did the preliminary research of, QS ranking, and I was very fixated on the course structures that I would want to go for. For example, there were other universities and courses that were a mix of business and technical, which was good, but they were more businessy than technical. For me, I wanted something that was actually rooted in technical expertise, at the same time would have some business inclination, since I already have that kind of exposure and that kind of skill set, which is why I think Carlson School of Management's MSBA was the really sweet spot that just got me going. Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Abhisha. Follow-up question for you, Rajesh, on similar lines. Could you tell us what were the specific factors or the unique offerings or opportunities that influenced your decision to go and pursue your MSBA from Carlson?
Sure. I think for me, the first major factor was the curriculum. I was working as a data analyst where it was mostly catering towards the needs of data scientists and product managers. So my long-term career path was along the way of becoming a data analyst and becoming a data scientist, to make sure that I am well versed with the skills, not in just terms of like learning the skill, but implementing it. The curriculum looked like a great fit. And the second thing would be the approachability of the alumni of Carlson School. Not just the MSBA program, but I reached out to people from the MBA program, from the M Finance program, and they were very much reciprocative and helpful. So I think as an international student, when you come to USA to do your masters, like your one-on-one or your factor that you reach out to the people are your seniors or the people who are passed out from your university. Like they are the one common thing that you have, that you can talk to, the advices you can have, the suggestions you can ask for. And I felt that the alumni here is very, very like helpful. So those two were the major factors for me to choose this program, and that's how I decided on my decision.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. Next question, Garth, if you want to take this, I know you've spoken about this in detail, but if you can just provide a quick overview of the application process for an international student, specifically for the MSBA program.
Of course, yeah, I'd be happy to kind of talk through just big picture,
Yes.
what all those components look like, again, just as an overview. So first off, we require that students have submit their transcripts as a part of an application. That's always one of the first steps that students tend to do. What's important for our program here, and just make note, is that for a student to apply to our program, they need to have an equivalent degree to a 4-year US bachelor's degree. If for whatever reason you're not sure if your degree is equivalent or your combination degrees are equivalent, we do have an email address that you could reach out to, and I'd be happy to provide that after I wrap up this answer here. So next, If you don't meet that specific GPA threshold equivalent to at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale for your cumulative undergraduate GPA, you would be required to submit a GMAT or GRE score. That is, if you don't meet that threshold. If you do meet that threshold, it is completely optional. So just keep that in mind. Next, we ask that students submit a resume, just an up-to-date standard resume. There's no required formatting or anything like that, but it is important that students talk in detail about what their various responsibilities have been in their various positions. Of course, we do have some students applying directly out of undergrad. About a third of our students at a given time are coming directly out of undergrad. So it's understandable if you have fewer professional experiences to work off of, but anything you can put in a resume, whether it's projects, personal projects you've done, or academic projects, just be sure to talk about all those things in detail so we have a good idea of what kind of experience you have, as well as if you do have any kind of a technical background, that can really come out through your resume as well. Next, we have letters of recommendation. We ask that students provide 2 letters of recommendation. The letters of recommendation can either be from a professional or an academic source, though if you do have professional sources, we tend to prefer those. And all you have to do is enter your recommender's contact information in the portal, in the application portal, and then we send the recommenders a form to fill out. So that means you don't have to transfer documents between people. It's all between us and the recommenders. We do recommend that that's one of the first steps you take when you start an application, just to give your recommenders the most possible amount of time to complete that letter of recommendation for you. And then again, we have that video essay and the interview that I talked about in more depth in my overview of the presentation. They're a lot scarier than they sound. They're less scary than they sound. Really, we're just trying to gauge communication skills, critical thinking skills. We're trying to get to know you out of the context of the written application. So that's just a brief overview. We also do have a English language proficiency requirement that's a part of it as well. There are some students that it might be possible that it's waived based on where they were educated. So be sure to check out our website for that information. We have a real comprehensive list that lays out all the possible scenarios. And then feel free to follow up if you have specific questions about any of the items I talked about here.
Thank you, Garth. That was very helpful. I am also going to be posting a very helpful article for everyone in the chat window, if you can quickly. So it's a very helpful article about 5 reasons to get an MSBA. So I'm going to quickly post this in a bit in the chat window so that everyone has access to it and you can benefit from that. Moving on, my next question would be for Rajesh. So Rajesh, could you describe a typical day in the life of an MSBA student at Carlson? What is it that you do in your day? How do you go about with your classes, other activities? So very quickly, if you can walk us through all of the fun and the other stuff that you do in a day.
Sure. The summer semester is particularly hectic because we have 5 subjects and are the foundational subjects that needs to be worked on for us to actually be very skillful. So I would say don't go by the summer semester schedule because it's a bit hectic as you are trying to learn how to code, how to understand those Python skills, SQL skills. But the professors keep their best to make it engaging and fun. So I think the classes, you won't have any trouble in terms of like feeling bored or anything. So the typical day starts with, like, as an international student, the hurdle of making your own food, cooking for breakfast, and making sure you have food for your lunch. You go to class, you have your lectures, and also then you make your plan for your evening for how to do the assignments, how to work with your team members on the group projects. Then once that's done, your day ends and you again return back. Then again you have to cook for your dinner, start on your assignments, start on your pre-work videos that needs to be done for your next day, so that you are well set for the lectures that are upcoming. And that's how most of the typical day goes. You have your weekends totally free, up to you. I generally go out. I like to maintain a positive healthy lifestyle, so I go out, I do swimming. Sometimes I join the boxing club, so we have a lot of clubs that you can take part in the campus. And there are a lot of bike trails that you can go for a run. So that's how the typical day looks like on the weekday and the weekend.
Great, Rajesh. Thank you. That sounds like perfect work and work-life balance, you can say in a way. So study-life balance. Good, great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Abhisha, quickly for you, what if you were to give me, let's say, 3 USPs for this particular program for, everyone in the audience is a potential international students, just like you were, let's say, a year or 2 years back doing their research. A lot of them are in that process of doing the research. So what are the 3 or 5 top USPs in your head for prospective students who are planning to pursue an MSBA?
I think top one will, like, I think I have said this before. So the curriculum in 11 months, you get 45 credits. And it is not just the number, it is the quality of courses and the skill set that you get, which is immense. I think that would top my chart. Secondly, the kind of exposure and learning you get not only from the professors, from the TAs, from the diverse classmates that you have. I mean, I know for a fact that I'm able to speak so fondly about the courses mostly because of the classmates I have got and the kind of help that they have given me and the learnings also that I have got. I think that's two. Third, I think the interactions with the clients that you would have eventually. We did have only one of those in our first semester. Looking forward to the next one and the final ELP one. I think that is something. It's like the bright shining star of Carlson MSBA because you get to know what real world data looks like, and sometimes it just gets too much. You are always dipped in data. We do not understand the business context of it, but at the same time you do have a communications counselor here who will help you see that perspective as well. So you get a holistic approach from all sections. It's not just coding and giving out technical answers to questions. That's definitely another a strong factor. Lastly, I would say the campus is really beautiful. It has an immensely beautiful culture to it. Apart from the regular beauty of, just by the lake, you go for a walk, you go for hiking trails. I mean, that is everywhere in the US that I have experienced, but especially the community, the campus that we are located in. I think it's a really good location. But at the same time, you do get to experience culture in all its glory. Like I attended a concert of the UMN music school, which is so breathtakingly beautiful, which means that if you keep an eye out, you get to just experience a lot of amazingly beautiful stuff in just 11 months. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Abhisha. My next question, Susan, if you would like to take this on. For international applicants, what support or resources are available? So a lot of international students are, look for a lot of holding, especially for the visa application processes, or even just the transitioning to a new country, transitioning to the US. So what are some of the support things that you all do provide at Carlson for international students which do end up joining you guys?
Yeah, we have such a great community of international students. So we definitely make sure we have supports in place for those students. So for folks who are admitted to the program, you'll work with someone directly on our operations team, as well as we have an office for international student and scholar services. I know that's quite a mouthful. The acronym is ISSS. And that's the department that helps walk students through the visa process and provides them support and questions and coaching, things like that. So you'll have a representative on our team that will kind of help facilitate some of those things between our office and ISSS in terms of I-20s. And then the ISSS office is always there to kind of help you walk through that visa process. That said, in addition, you will continue to hear from the admissions team. You'll start hearing also from the academic team, our academic advising team, and you'll also start hearing from the career services team once you're admitted to the program. So we don't just wait to kind of flood you with information about transition and what to expect and provide resources right before orientation and you're supposed to get here. We try to be providing that information all the way through. In addition, what we try to offer, so both for prospective students, as well as for students who are admitted, events with our Career Center, because we know that career is really top of mind for international students who are coming to the United States. And so, for example, this Friday, we actually have a career outlook event. One is for international students specifically, and one is for domestic students, because we know that students have different questions. And that's a prospective student event. We can actually, one of us will drop the link in if you're interested in kind of seeing that in action. But we want you to be kind of having those conversations and understand what to expect and how best to prepare yourself. Again, our academic advising team always follows up with information about here's the documentation that you should be thinking of gathering, as well as the specific timelines and deadlines. And then we also have an international student specific orientation program. So we invite all of our students to kind of have that are traveling here from abroad, outside of the US, across countries and across programs. So you really kind of get your own set of, a separate introduction to the school. It's a different culture. There's different kind of communication styles. There's different things to expect. And so the school puts on a separate orientation specifically for our international students to help answer some of those questions before or as part of, its own session before you get into some of your program specific events. And so our MSBA program used to be a summer start. Now it is a fall start. So now the MSBA students who are incoming for this batch for next fall will get to partake in that broader international student Carlson-wide orientation that happens in August, which will be a nice benefit in this stage. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Susan, for the detailed answer. My next question to you was going to revolve around career services, but I think you have covered that. So my last questions to both Rajesh and Abhisha before I let you go. So Rajesh, can you tell us a little bit about how has this program prepared you in your career journey? Like, are there any specific projects that you did or any specific experiences that stand out, which you feel would be really, really essential when you sort of get back to the workforce?
Sure. This is how I was told when I was applying to my to the program. My seniors told me that you'll have enough projects to fill your resume even if you remove all your experiences. So our summer semester itself had one live case, which is an analytics project. Then you have multiple assignments, which itself are projects which you can put on your resume, and the best part, they are done in groups. So I would say in a holistic way, you're doing it in a group, so you are having your different skills in the behavioral round where people ask, okay, have you ever encountered a conflict, or like have you managed a team, or like how did you give me a situation where you came up with a solution that was not taken into consideration, how did you do it? You will come across all the solution like as you may have been in your own work and in your professional journey. So I think that is one major thing that has helped me, that right now I am putting on my resume, and I'm thankful for that. The second thing would be getting a chance to actually implement what we learned in the class on those projects, uh, specifically the analytics part, where for anyone who is trying to get into this path, you'll be thrown a lot of numbers and you need to get habituated with the ambiguity of how to see those numbers and not get overwhelmed. So both all of our projects involved that, and at first, sure, it was very uncomfortable to see that, but once you get started, once you go through the process with your teammates, with your professors holding your hands, it becomes really easy and you start enjoying the process. And the last thing that I would say is that recently I have started with something called small group practice interview that our career center has, which actually gives you the chance to talk with a second year MBA student who has gone through the process itself, and helps you structure your behavioral answers, so that when it is actually the time when you're actually speaking in front of the interviewer, you're not fumbling, you're not thinking about the story, you know what you want to say, and you're direct to the point, and that has really helped a lot.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajesh, for that answer. Very insightful. Abhisha, my last question to you is, what advice would you give prospective international students such as yourself who are planning to pursue an MSBA, who are planning to, let's say, consider any school in the US? Also, if they are looking to do an MSBA, then why Carlson? Are there any tips or insights that they should know which will really help them be better prepared? Since you have already been on this journey, you could shed some insights that would help them.
Sure. I think I'll take up the tips part. I think ideally the trick here is to research a lot, to know what you want. I mean, there are people who would be, just fresh out of college. There are people who would be in mid-careers. There are people who might have a sort of more advanced career. So the idea is to understand your own self, to understand what kind of things actually make you happy. Because at the end of the day, if you look at it, you spend around 80% of your day working, which means it's a big chunk of your life. So you have to be happy about what you're doing. And for that, you need to know what kind of courses or what kind of skill sets would actually give you that kind of happiness. That's the first thing I think. Just spend some time with yourself, understand what kind of skill set, what kind of problem solving skills will actually make you more resourceful and at the same time more rewarding as a career professional. Secondly, the next step is thorough research. I don't think there is any other step that compensates for this step. You'll have to research, and when I say research, it is not just going through a website or a page or just panels. It has to be extremely holistic, and the best way is to connect to alumni. It is sort of intimidating at the first go when you look at the LinkedIn profiles and come up with n number of drafts and just do a carpet bombing of sending messages across them. But trust me, that is the best way, because nobody else will give you that insight as the person who is experiencing it, which is why I think that is the one golden tip. And you just have to be at it, like, for example, our course is so hectic. Even if somebody would send me a LinkedIn request or a message, it would take me some time for me to respond, because I would want to do it nicely. I know what it feels to be in that space, right? Which is why you have to keep your faith in it and just need to be persistent with asking people the right questions. I think these two things will set you in a very steadfast journey for what's gonna come. And why MSBA in Carlson? I think there are a lot of answers that we have already given. I feel at any career stage, if you understand the value of data, if you understand what it means to a business, if you want to be somebody who becomes irreplaceable to a business, which I think is sort of a looming question in this in industry across, that you have to be irreplaceable. You have to have skill sets that is very, very hard to come by. I think this course gives you that, because there are certain aspects of a person's skill set that can be replaced by anything. And with things like ChatGPT and n number of modeling programs that you are seeing in the market, you see that, okay, I used to know how to write a good emailer, but look at ChatGPT, it is giving me the same thing. What do I bring new to the table? Which is where I think Carlson's MSBA stands apart by a very, very strong mile in comparison to any other school. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rajesh. Thank you, Abhisha. Thank you all of you for answering all my questions today. We have quite a few questions in the Q&A box from students who want to get their questions answered. But now, before I move on to those, since everyone in the audience has now heard about all that Carlson has to offer, all that the MSBA program has to offer about studying abroad, I'm going to very quickly launch my second poll question for the night. It is on your screen. And as an international participant for this particular webinar, what motivates you now to study in the USA? We've heard about everything that all the school has to offer. So is it the diverse and inclusive learning environment? Is it the networking and career opportunities? Or is it the cultural exposure and global perspective that the university has to offer? So which of these factors, according to you, is something which really is now motivating you to consider or is motivating you to now study in the USA? So the poll is live. Everyone in the audience, I would quickly request you to answer. And once we are done with this poll, we are straight out moving into your Q&A questions quite a few of them which have come, and we are going to be answering all of them shortly. So I'm going to keep the poll running for a few more seconds before I end it. As an international participant, what motivates you to now study in the USA after listening to all of these various experiences, all the different things that everyone has spoken about? So I'm going to end the poll questions now and share the results with you. So 56% of you have said networking and career opportunities is something that is motivating you, closely followed by diverse and inclusive learning environment, and of course, cultural exposure and global perspective. So thank you so much, everyone in the audience, for answering our polls. I'm now going to move to the questions. I know we spoke about the funding opportunities or the scholarships which Carlson has to offer. If very quickly you all can just summarize and let us know what are the scholarships or the funding opportunities which are available for international students who are looking to apply for any of the programs at Carlson.
Yeah, I could just give a brief overview in that regard. So again, when a student applies to our program, they're automatically considered for all scholarships from the Carlson School itself. They're merit-based scholarships based completely on the merits of the application. It's a holistic review process. We consider every single component of a student's application simultaneously. So there will never be one number or fact or figure in the app that will determine a scholarship outcome. Historically, we've given out a maximum of $20,000 in scholarships to individual students. So just keep that in mind. And also note too that when you're admitted into the program, you'll also receive your scholarship offer. So that means you won't have to wait for months and months before you hear back about scholarships. It's all at the same time, and you'll know your full financial context at that time. I often do get the question too about GA and TA positions in regards to this program as well.
Yes.
So my answer in that regard is there have been students that have historically been able to find and secure GA and TA positions after they arrive on campus. Because of the pace and length of the program, that is not something that the program itself necessarily recommends, but there have been some students that have been successfully been able to do that in the past. It's not something we're able to guarantee through the admissions process. Again, the students would have to seek those out on their own after they arrive on campus. So those are just a few ways that students have funded their education in the past, besides, of course, external sources like loans and external scholarships.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. A follow-up questions with regards to this. Someone wants to know if they have, let's say, a few years of work experience, does that sort of heighten their chances of getting a scholarship, or what would be like a typical student profile that you would be looking at for scholarships?
Sure, so I can take this one. Garth, feel free to chime in as well. So, we don't have we don't want to put anyone in a box and say that, in order to get this amount of money, these are the exact factors that you need to have. So that's beneficial to applicants because a strength in one area can potentially offset a potential, weakness in another area and still have a student be able to qualify for some sort of funding. I would say that in terms of just work experience in general, it's ideal if students have, some internship experience that has exposed them to programming languages, or materials, that critical thinking, that quantitative, that technical analysis that they're going to encounter in the program. So at a minimum, we are looking for some internship experience. However, if someone has, a few years of work experience where they have been doing work like that, that would be viewed favorably because, you're in the practical application of how to apply those tools and kind of thinking through and being comfortable with some of those more technical aspects that you're going to encounter in the program. Now, you could also be someone who doesn't have technical experience, but you do have some other relevant professional work experience where you've had, a few years of experience or some advancement, and then if you don't have that formal, analytics integrated into your role, you can complete the prerequisite requirements that Garth outlined, and I believe we shared a link to. So I would say, in general, work experience is viewed favorably. However, we do want to look at, what is that work experience? What is the nature of what you were working on? And we kind of think through, okay, how, is that, we want people from diverse backgrounds. And so what can you bring into the program? and how will that make you unique? And also, how has your work experience just prepared you for the content and the curriculum and what the program is going to provide? So yeah, I can't unfortunately say, if you have this much work experience, this is the scholarship you're going to get, because we look at that in context with your GPA and your interview, because we want to, have a well-rounded view of who you are as a candidate. However, if we're looking at a candidate with 0 work experience and 0 internships, and someone who does have some professional internships or experience that are relevant, then those experiences would be viewed favorably.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Another quick question which does get asked very often is, a lot of students want to know, do you accept a 3-year undergraduate degree or a 4-year undergraduate degree?
Good question. So we require that students that apply to our program have the equivalent to a 4-year U.S. bachelor's degree. So historically, 3-year degrees from India have not been considered equivalent on their own, and students would need an additional year of postgraduate, some kind of education there. If for whatever reason you want confirmation of this, or you're not quite sure, maybe your combination of degrees could be considered equivalent, I sent an email, I think it got posted in the chat, gsquest@umn.edu. Send your transcripts and your proof of degrees to that email address, and they'll be able to definitively tell you whether or not your combination degrees would be considered equivalent. And then if they say yes, you'd be more than welcome to apply to our program.
Great, thank you. That was really helpful. A lot of questions, of course, being around, is someone who's from a non-technical background, can they apply for the MSBA program? Is that something, if someone is from a management background, but they have no technical know-how, or if someone has done a bachelor's in biotechnology? I'm just combining all of these together because but the theme largely remains the same. Someone has done a bachelor in business administration. So what are the kind of applicants who are eligible to apply for an MSBA program? If we could just talk broadly about that.
Go ahead, Garth. You can go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, I was just going to say, we have no required undergraduate major for this program, no required undergraduate background or academic background. We accept students from all different backgrounds and types of background knowledge. We've had students from the sciences, from liberal arts, from economics, and of course students that have more of like a programming background too. It really just, what's important is that students are really interested in the field of data and applying the data in a business setting, and that again they're able to meet those prerequisites. So that is the one thing that we really want to make sure that any student that comes into our program can succeed academically. And so that's why we have those prerequisite barriers, to ensure that students that come in do have that programming knowledge and that calculus knowledge, so that they can join with the students that have more of a technical background and hit the ground running and really contribute in the classroom and keep up with their classmates. But there is no required undergraduate major, and we welcome students from all academic backgrounds.
Yes, exactly. We want that diversity in the pool. And again, that, to Garth's point, that's why the prerequisite courses exist, because we know that not everyone is coming from that background, but we want to make sure that at least everyone is coming in with a similar baseline level of knowledge. And I think Abhisha mentioned this in some of her comments, that, the first semester of the program that you're going to be taking, you're really kind of getting up to speed on some of those baseline basics. And so the point, the purpose of our program is for us to teach you. We don't expect people to come in being experts. That's really what the program is for, to help you kind of build and transform your knowledge throughout an intensive 11 months.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope that answers a lot of the questions that I had received in the Q&A box from people from various different backgrounds asking me about this. Another interesting question from someone is, as an international student, are they allowed to work while they are pursuing the program at Carlson? Like take on a full-time or a part-time job opportunity? Is that something which is?
So Garth alluded to this a little bit when he was talking about the GA and the TA positions.
Yes.
And so given the structure of the program and when the courses are held, and also just the intensity, just the pace, I should say, it's really an immersive program. And so working full-time would not be possible. There are some students, as Garth mentioned, who, have been able to balance or pursue a GA or a TA position during their time in the program. However, that is quite a bit to manage just because 45 credits in 11 months is quite busy. Abisha or Rajesh, if you have any comments about that, it's not that we don't want students to get that experience, but that's also why we know it's important to integrate experiential learning into the program so that students are getting that hands-on piece that they might get from an internship or a full-time job. We want the program to kind of be a one-stop shop for that. But we also want you to be able to complete the program in a quick amount of time. So you're kind of maximizing that return on your investment. You're getting back out there into the workforce. Our students have excellent outcomes. 100% of folks received jobs last year. 6-figure salaries were the average. And so, yes, the program is designed to be, a full-time immersive program, but the experiences that you're getting within the program are also things that you can talk about and you can draw on when you're interviewing for internships or full-time jobs. And so it was thoughtful in the way that was designed, and that, yes, you're taking a step out of the workforce, but the experience you're getting along with the coursework in the program is helping to compensate for that.
Great, thanks. That was very insightful. A lead up to that question from Tanishq is, do you require students to have any kind of work experience before they apply for the MSBA program?
Great question. So we don't have a work experience requirement for this program. Again, typically a third of our students are coming in directly out of undergrad. And while we do recommend that if students are coming directly out of undergrad, that they have some kind of internship experience, there is still no specific requirement in that regard.
Great. Thank you so much, Tanishq. I hope that answers your question. I have another question. Yeah, I know, Garth, you mentioned this at the very beginning when you did your presentation, but just for the benefit of anyone who's missed out, is a GMAT or a GRE compulsory for this particular program?
Yeah, great question. So it is required if students don't meet a specific GPA threshold. So if a student has the equivalent to at least a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale GPA, cumulative undergraduate GPA, I should say, then it is not required that they submit a GMAT or GRE. If they do not meet that GPA threshold, so they have less than a 3.0 on a 4.0 scale, then it would be required that they submit a GMAT or GRE test score.
Great, thank you so much. I hope that answers your question. Someone also wants to know, once they pursue an MSBA, and what are their chances if they want to opt for a PhD program after that? Do you offer any PhD programs?
We do offer PhD programs here at the Carlson School. We don't have any kind of direct pathway program from MSBA to PhD. Students are more than welcome to apply to those programs, and I'm sure once they arrive on campus, they can network with professors and help with that application process. But there is no direct pathway from grad to PhD. And Susan, if you have anything else to add there, feel free to.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar that, certainly being at a large research university, there are many PhD programs available, but, we, as Garth mentioned, we don't have a specific, track that's like a research track that gets you kind of pre-admitted into a PhD program through this program. But yeah, our faculty are wonderful resources, and I'm sure they'd be more than willing to have conversations about, advice or tips or recommendations, things like that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nilay. I hope that answers your question. Another question which I believe one or two people have asked in the audience is, do the university rankings of the institute from where they have done their undergrad, let's say in India, matter at the time of their applications? So undergrad university rankings where they have done their bachelor's degree from.
That's not a piece of information that we are asking for or looking at. What we're looking at is, the subject matter that you studied, and then also what your overall GPA was. So, we'll look at where the admissions committee is really concerned with, your academic performance and any trends, as well as, how did you do if you took one of those prerequisite courses as a formal course in undergrad. Those are things that we're focusing on. We're not, giving someone a preferential bump because they went to one institution over another in the admissions process.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So thank you so much. We have a few questions, but We've answered them. For those of you who joined in late or were unable to view, we will be posting this video on our YouTube channel and sharing the link with you so you can go back and listen to all of the wonderful experiences, all of the insights which were given by Garth, by Susan, by Abhisha and Rajesh. I would like to thank you for your time today. Thank you so much for all the insights and for helping us with all your questions. I am going to quickly post an email ID. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to someone from the admissions team on this email ID, which I've put in the chat window. With that, once again, thank you so much for this insightful session, and thank you so much for joining us today. Bye.